Well, it's what the people always crave. It's another edition of Ricky and Rogo breaking down the ins and outs of OmegaBall. We got two ballers with us today, Jake Corona, Sal Perez, and then we got Ricky Lopez-Espin. I feel like I'm the only one, the odd man out, the Italiano here, Mark Rogondino with you here. I guess let's start off with guys looking forward to a huge international event coming up on August 1st down there in Orlando. Ricky, I'll start with you. Can't wait to be partnered back up again, but we get to cover some of the fastest and most chaotic sport in the world.
And it's also going to be an opportunity to see the international stage being provided here in Orlando, right? We're having a team come from Spain, from overseas. Obviously, it tells you about the growth of OmegaBall. But Rogo, we've seen this game. We know this game. These two players have played this game, and they know it. But you have to be comfortable in OmegaBall. The more that you play, the better that you get. So you expect this game to be the best one yet.
Yeah, Jake and Sal, I think you guys can shed some light on that too, because you guys have experienced this now for a number of years, a number of competitions. I'll start with you, Jake. What are you looking forward to most in terms of trying to put on a display of how you can take the knowledge you have in OmegaBall and imprint it on the field and have success?
Just like Ricky mentioned right now, it is going to be by far the best Omega Ball we've had. And not to mention that being an international contest, that spark of it is just going to make it that much more interesting because the team from Spain, they're going to bring a different flavor into this Omega Ball that we have not seen before. The international, the team from all over the world. I mean, that's going to be a pretty interesting mix right there to see. And again, every single one of those players is going to be a baller. We're very excited about it, and we want to show everybody that we got the best Omega Ball in the world here in the US.
Yeah, Sal, if I pick it up there with you, to use a boxing analogy, they say styles make fights. We're going to see different styles probably implemented from each of the three teams out in Orlando.
100%. And I think the nice thing here is as we start to see Spain adopt the game, as we start to see the rest of the world adopt the game, I know we know Omega Ball has started to expand, especially in these latter years. We look at players like myself and Jake, who have been at this for what, 3, 4 years at this point. It's going to be interesting to see how that experience translates to some of these fresher styles and how they even interpret the game themselves from a team standpoint. So that's going to be fun to see.
I'm going to stay with you, Sal, and talk about how OmegaBall is so different than maybe the traditional game of soccer in the sense that not only do you have the three teams and a different variety of rules, but the fact that you have four field players and a goalkeeper. Everybody gets to see the ball and make a statement and put their own print on the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think building off of kind of what Jake had said with those styles, you can see that from an Omega Ball standpoint, you see more goals, more touches. You see the speed of play and even the thinking you have to do a lot quicker because you can receive the ball at any side of the pitch at any given point, right? And when you take into the fact that the goalkeepers can score, you take into the fact that you have to almost defend two goals to a certain extent, or even work with the opposing team to prevent the other team from scoring. You see a whole bunch of different dynamics in that standpoint, and it really changes the way we approach or even think about the game.
Yeah. So Jake, how different is your approach now, say, compared to 3 years ago when you first dipped your foot in the pool?
It's funny that you mentioned that because every year we feel like we got it figured out. And until the very last minute, that's when you realize that you really don't. I mean, we've had games where we've gone up 7, 8 goals, and in the last minutes of the match, you find yourself under or just within 1 goal distance. It just recently happened in December in the one in San Diego, and that's what makes the Mega Ball unique. This game never gets out of hand. This game, you're always in the game no matter what. Even though you're outnumbered, you're always in the game.
When you have that quick of a turnaround, right, the momentum is massive in Omega Ball. I guess you, Jake, that played in San Diego, what is the biggest difference that you're saying, okay, now we come into Orlando, we cannot have this happen again?
One thing I did talk when I talked to the clan. We knew we needed to bring in new faces and new people, but not new faces to Omega Ball. Cam Steele and Kenneth Perkins are probably the most experienced players. I mean, they've been there since day one, as myself, and it's going to be easy to adapt for them to adapt into our playing style, and we've already seen them enough to where we know the damage they can make.
And it's going to be an interesting dynamic, right, Rogo? Because we have Sal, who actually played against Jake, who's played against Kenneth, who's played against Cam, but in different styles, right? Cam Kenneth played on one team, Jake played on another team. Now you combine those two. So Sal, not to give away the secret formula, but for Team World, Team Spain, what do you see from now this team that Jake is creating that can really threaten the other two teams?
Oh, I mean, aside from the experience in of itself, I think you have quality from a technical standpoint. You have someone like Kenneth who you know can score on any goal at any given moment, from which we've seen in these past games. And then we look at Will Prado and we see Jake himself as well. I mean, on the ball, they're Omega Ball Messis for. Lack of a better term. So that'll be exciting to see seeing that all blend together.
If you had Omega Ball and Messi in the same sentence on your bingo card, you are way ahead of a lot of the rest of us. Jake, we always touch on the goalkeepers, and I love it as an ex-college goalkeeper. But from your standpoint, how impactful in every facet of Omega Ball can the goalkeeper be, and who do you trust the most in this situation now that you've probably had a couple different keepers step in for you?
Yeah, so that it's funny that you mentioned that because the goalkeeper is the most important player on the field, at least with our playing style. We pick our goalkeepers very carefully. We need a goalkeeper that's really good with their feet, that's technically a cat under the three post, those guys that the reflexes are just amazing. And Kenneth also has a shot. He's proven that Omega Ball after Omega Ball that the dude can score and he can play. I mean, he can pinpoint a ball. So we've always picked our goalkeepers very, very carefully, but their bottom line is that the most important player on the field.
And if I can just follow that up, Jake, you typically are the captain of your side, and I'm assuming that's going to be the case here in Orlando. How much instruction do you actually speak with when it comes to the goalkeeper? When to venture out, when to go over the top, when to start the ball at their own feet? Because variety is what's going to make your team less predictable.
Our team really doesn't need to be told what to do. All the players adapt to each other very well and to the playing styles. Will Prado, Kyle O'Brien. I mean, Kyle is amazing, with the ball at his feet. And I think in San Diego, he really, showed us what he can do in just a few minutes. But the guy that pulls all the strings, the guy that has that control over the team, that's Prado. I mean, realistically on the field, he's the man that's speaking and pulling every string and I mean, he's our Guardiola.
I remember the first event that we did where I actually played in Orange County. I came into this game saying, okay, you need someone centrally. You need someone to have a presence on the ball that can dictate, okay, we go to this goal. No, we change that goal. But it's interesting because as me and Rogo, we've seen Omega Ball develop. Players are going away from the central, right? You're providing the width. You're being really expansive. So can you just talk to our audience saying, why do you think that is?
Over the years, we tried playing central. We tried playing in a triangle. We tried playing that diamond type of format. And what was more effective for us was to always use the wings. Why? In an attacking aspect of it, you always have both goals, and you do have that central player. However, if your goalkeeper is the one pushing from the back and has good feet, you use that central player more as a forward. So now you literally have three attackers at the moment of defending. It's not that we're not too concerned about being scored on, but we know those same guys that we have on the wings will drop, and then we just need that support down the middle. But your goalkeeper, I mean, especially someone like Kenneth, someone like Cortez, someone like Flores, those guys. If they pinpoint a ball to you, you don't need that midfielder to have and hold the ball for that long.
One thing I'll add to that here is, going back to what Rogo had asked earlier about the differences between Omega Ball and soccer in and of itself. At the end of the day, we still think as soccer players, right? So in the grand sense of it, you still want to create space, you still want to open up the game. And I think in some of the earlier years of Omega Ball, we're so used to having 3 points in the center, right? Just a natural midfielder. And as the game has evolved, and as Jake, myself, Kenneth, Cam, everyone has evolved and matured in this game itself, we're starting to see gaps. And I think that was most prevalent in San Diego. When we saw that in San Diego, I think that's the first time where we really started to see all the teams start to expand. And I mean, I've been on the player side and obviously with you guys on supporting you guys through the production side, we've started to see people start to take advantage of the four corners and leave the center open, right? And I think that's really an interesting take that I'd be curious to see how these other teams that may have not been through all these years of experience are going to adapt to that because they might try and stick to that point because naturally as a soccer player, that's how we're taught to think.
It's really, really interesting. And I think there is an advantage for obviously your team, Jake, because you have the experience, right? You know that from period one, we're going to be as expansive as we possibly can, while the team from Spain, the world team, maybe tendencies tend to start, okay, let's try to be as connected as we can to connect passes. And then we typically see teams start to grow within the OmegaBall game. So I think it sets up to be a really fascinating here in Orlando.
I have two more topics I want to hit with you guys. The first one is, and Jake, you can start on it, is how quickly in a transition moment you want to play when the ball turns over. You turn over one of the other two teams, and what's the philosophy in terms of expediting the attack to one of the other two goals?
That's where the whole thinking kicks in. If I lose the ball to the team that's under on the scoreboard, I'm not gonna rush to it. We're not gonna press. That's where that's Omega Ball. I mean, you have to keep all these things in mind at once: the score, the time, um, just have all the scenarios. It's not just the change of direction, not just being outnumbered, the chaos on the field, but that's also part of the playing game, and or mastermind Will Prado. That's something that he's pretty good at managing. He's pretty good at managing those tempos. So even when we do our subs, everything relies on how the score is being played, who it is in his fresh legs, and how it is that we want to finish the match with what squad. And sometimes, I think it happened in San Diego. We need a little bit more of a defensive playing style towards the end. Our guys, their legs were already gone, and one of the teams, I believe it was Perkins' team, they were getting really close to us. So we we had to change our strategy, and just switch the ball from one end to the other, and kind of like playing keep away, and it worked out. But you just have to adapt.
Well, I have one more or two more points actually. Listening to Jake and Sal, two players that have played Omega Ball at a very high level, have had experience. I think one thing that is very prevalent to the worldwide viewers here is number one, it's chaos on the pitch, right? Like you look at this game and you're saying, okay, things are happening so quick, players are getting so many more touches versus a traditional soccer game. But it's actually a lot more thinking than a traditional soccer game because there's so much more going on. You're not playing against one team, you're playing against two teams. You're not defending one goal, and sometimes you're defending two goals, you're attacking two goals. And it's been really interesting to hear Jake and Sal talk about opposition, time, score, whatever it may be, all come into little details. And I think that has been truly intriguing. And I also think that we're going to see, like Jake said, a very methodical game in Orlando because the team from Spain has actually played Omega Ball before. Obviously, Jake and his side has played Omega Ball. World has played Omega Ball. So it's going to be maybe that first period. It's not going to be feeling out or trying to figure out their formation. It's going to be feeling out the opposition and trying to find the real-time solutions.